Welcome, everybody, to another episode of B&B Hockey Talk. I'm Aaron Bloxel with my co-host, Mr. Matt Balzer. Matt, lots to talk about since our last Around the NHL segment on Monday, starting with the Toronto Maple Leafs as they pulled the trigger, an expensive trigger, and let go of Mike Babcock.
Yeah, so after a 9-10-4 start to the season, they fired Mike Babcock. He's replaced by their AHL coach Sheldon Keefe, who got his first win in his first game last night, which is good news for the Leafs. And they got Tyson Barrie going. He got his first career goal as a Leaf, and Austin Matthews scored in his hometown as well. After that poor start, they decided to pull the trigger as an organization between Shanahan, Dubas, and all that. And I think Babcock actually, he actually responded to the media. Actually, immediately, he didn't take that step back.
Funny though, he didn't thank. He thanked Morgan Riley of all players.
Yeah.
He thanked the guy that brought him in, and he thanked Lou Lamoriello. He never thanked Shanahan or Dubas or any of those guys.
Well, I think he sort of said when he got hired, there wasn't really a GM in place and all that. And I think it was Tannenbaum, the head of
Larry Tannenbaum.
Yeah, that he thanked the most. And it's sort of funny. I think the guys are going to be ribbing Morgan Riley because out of all the guys or whatever, he singled him out, which I thought was funny. But yeah,
I personally thought it was a little surprising. I thought it was a little bit early. But apparently the Maple Leaf organization has been looking at this for a while, and they thought now was the best time to do it. And the players immediately responded. I thought they looked probably their best they've looked in several weeks. So
yeah, because I think Keefe's more of a player's coach, and he's coached a lot of those guys down with the Marlies, and his success with the Marlies is pretty good. He has 199 wins. And only 89 losses in regulation, and he led them to the Calder Cup in 2018 and 3 conference final finishes as well. So he's got a good repertoire, and he goes back with Kyle Dubas all the way back to the OHL. So these two guys, they've known each other, and I think Babcock sort of brought it up. It's like each GM should have their own coach sort of thing that they hired. So. But I thought Babcock would have this year just because of the failed playoff success to see if they can get out of the first round. But yeah, the last 3 years made the playoffs, couldn't get out of that first round. Babcock finishes with 173, 133, and 45 overall record as the Leafs bench boss.
Well, I don't think much was expected of them in that first year of the playoffs, but the last two they definitely thought they would. But couldn't get past the big bad Bruins.
Yeah, and you got to give them some credit for actually, because everybody thought, because I think the Leafs said it was going to be a 5-year plan sort of thing of trying to turn the organization around, but everything got jump-started. Of course, you have some good drafts. You get Austin Matthews, you get Mitch Marner, and all those guys, but you got to give them some credit for turning around the Leafs organization quicker than expected. But yeah, it was just overall, I think his voice just wasn't being heard by the players of late, and they needed to make that change.
So does Nazem Kadri fight Tyson Barrie tomorrow night?
I know, yeah, the big return. It'll be interesting to see what Kadri does, because now that Barrie has
I heard he's quite anxious to play them tomorrow night.
Oh yeah,
and something to prove. So
yeah, and Kadri's been off to a great start this season with Colorado, and Barrie hopefully with a new coach. And of course they also moved him to the top power play unit as well, which is good for Barrie, and they paired him with Morgan Riley, which could be adventurous, but getting your top 2 offensive defensemen put together should create a lot of offensive opportunities.
I think that's only for the power play, because I still saw Cody Ceci last night playing with Morgan Riley.
Okay, yeah, I saw something like that, so it might have been just the power play. So my bad on that one, but yeah, it does make sense to put him on the top power play unit, especially it's a right-handed shot in the lefty, so it makes a whole lot of sense there.
So Mike Babcock's gone. Calgary's now lost 6 in a row and has only scored in 1 of their last 4 games.
Yeah, I think they've been out.
Nashville is just absolutely terrible right now, killing off 1 out of 9 power plays in the last 2 games against the Canucks. Who's the next coach to go?
Yeah, I put Peter Laviolette up there. I know Calgary's been outscored, I think 23-5 in that time span, which is just bad. And, Tree Living, the Flames GM, came out and basically tried to deflect any blame away from his team. He took full responsibility to where the team is. He says he still has full belief in the coaching staff and the players. It's just that he just said it's basically a team that's underperforming right now, and they got to figure things out. But yeah, he took all the blame. It's like, hey, I put this team together, sort of thing, and all that. So yeah, it's a good thing for a GM because it takes some of the focus off the players and all the trade rumors, because like there was should they trade Goudreau and all this stuff that popped up. But yeah, I think the Flames do have the team to turn it around. They got too many good players on their roster not to turn things around. And you look at the San Jose Sharks, they started off terribly, and now they've sort of figured out. Same with Dallas. I think Calgary can have a similar run. And then with Nashville, they've been absolutely dreadful. Especially with that roster, they should be way better.
They didn't look good last night at all. I mean,
the
Canucks didn't even play good last night, but they went 5 for 6 on the power play. And Nashville's penalty killing. I mean, granted, there were some funny bounces and stuff. They look disorganized. And when you're giving up a goal just about every power play, you'd think you'd learn to stop taking penalties.
Oh, yeah. It's like they are getting frustrated. Pekka Rinne is in a bit of a rut. In his last 4 games, he's been pulled 3 times. He's been credited with all 4 losses. He's given up 18 goals with a 6.92 goals against average and a 7.69 save percentage, which that's not NHL level right there. He had a really good start to the season, but now he's in one of those funks. And with UC Saros there, you never know, goalie controversy could go up if he starts to play well. But yeah, Nashville, they got to figure out. Kyle Turris has been a healthy scratch the last 2 games as well.
Yeah, that's weird.
Which isn't good.
But yeah, $6 million player in the bench.
Yeah, and with all those pieces there, David Poile, and going all in with all these contract extensions, bringing Duchesne in and all that. If the results don't come in, you could see a coaching change coming up pretty quick, because I think they're third last, with I think only Minnesota and LA are behind them in the standings right now, which is not.
Although David Poile has got to be one of the most patient general managers that we've seen in the NHL.
Yes.
It would be interesting to see what they do. You mentioned both San Jose and Dallas in the West, definitely ripping it up. What have you got on them?
Yeah, so Dallas, after a 1-7-1 start, they are now 12-1-1 in their last 14 games. They had a big win last night in Winnipeg, beating them 5-3, and Winnipeg's been super hot this month as well. Jamie Benn, after a dreadful start to the season, has scored in 3 straight games now up to 5 goals on the season. And they should be getting reinforcements this weekend, as Rupe Hintz and John Klingberg are both high possibilities to return tomorrow for them. So it's not only are they playing well, they're scoring goals, and they're going to get a boost to the lineup as well. Miro Heiskanen has been an absolute beast for them on that back end as well. And you never know, he could be an outside dark horse for the Norris Trophy this year if he continues his play.
In San Jose, they just seem to be getting the goaltending finally too.
Yeah, so I think they finally decided not to start Martin Jones against Vegas Golden Knights, and they got a big performance from Aaron Dell, 37 saves in an overtime win against the Golden Knights. They have now won. Let's see. Well, they had the 1 loss, but they're 7-3 in their last 10 games, and I believe they had a 5 or 6 game win streak in there. So
it was at least 5.
Yeah, and they've been dealing with a couple injuries, but they've been getting around that because Thomas Hertl has been out the past couple games. But besides that, defensively, they've been starting to get locking it down, and that starts with the goaltending, which has been way better than it has been with the struggles between Jones and Dell. But yeah, overall, they're just starting to click, and with the struggles of Anaheim and Calgary, they're only 3 points out of a wild card spot now.
Another team in the West before we get to the East, St. Louis. They signed Troy Brouwer this week to a 2-way contract, I believe. But you have some interesting stats on Jordan Binnington. And they are a classy organization. I really like what they did for Pat Maroon the other night.
Yeah, so a couple things on the Blues. Yeah, so Jordan Binnington, 40 save shutout against Calgary last night. Absolute beast. So here, I saw this tweet because somebody tweeted out his career stats, and it really caught my attention. So 41 games, 48 starts. He's 35, 8-5 with a 2.01 goals against average, a 9.26 save percentage, and 6 shutouts. So, yeah, he's been an absolute monster, especially this season. He has to be one of the favorites for the Vezina Trophy to start this season. Been unbelievable. And yeah, and to follow up with that Troy Brouwer signing, that comes on the heels of Sammy Blais requiring wrist surgery, which is a 10-week recovery. So another big loss for the Blues there. And then, yeah, Patrick Maroon, he got a Stanley Cup ring ceremony with Tampa Bay visiting them there, which is a classy move by the organization. Usually, like they say, that's usually a behind the scenes where he goes into the dressing room. But they work things out with the NHL to say that they wanted to present him with the ring on the ice. So yeah, once again, big classy move by the Blues. And those 90 retro jerseys that they wore against the Flames, fantastic. Better than those LA King and Colorado Avalanche jerseys that have gotten leaked. I'll post those later on our Facebook page, but they look absolutely awful, especially those King jerseys. I don't know what those things.
Off to the east, everybody's talking about the New York Islanders, the legend of Barry Trotz, and just, man, they're finding a way to win every single night.
And he was upset because they gave up a point to Pittsburgh because they gave up a goal. So yeah, the New York Islanders it's just I still don't believe it. They are now 15-0-1 in their last 16 games, which is a franchise record. With 16 straight games with at least a point. And just to break down those 16 games, they've had 17 different guys score a goal. They've had 11 different guys score the game-winning goal. Matthew Barzal leads the way in those 16 games with 9 goals and 19 points. 9 of the wins have been comeback wins, with 3 of them being multi-goal comebacks in the third period to at least send the game in overtime and win it. And they're 16-3-1 to start the season, which is the best start to a season in franchise history. Their previous one was 14-3-3, which was in the 76-77 and 78-79 season. So like we're basically watching history, and they're still 3 points behind the Washington Capitals, but with 4 games in hand. So if they keep going, it's like, yeah, those two teams, it's just who's in a blink sort of thing. But yeah, the Islanders are an absolute freight train right now.
Are they for real? Do you think they're going to keep going?
I would think so. Just with Trotz's system.
Yeah.
Like eventually, like they're
both goalies are playing well. The team seems to be playing well.
And they're starting to play some exciting hockey. Like they're putting up some goals, like Brock Nelson, Anthony Beauvillier. Derek Brassard has been a great pickup. I think ever since they moved him out to the wing, away from center, he's really taken off. But yeah, it's not that they're playing like they can play that boring trap game, but they're also showing that if they need to score goals, they can do that, which is fun to watch. But yeah, it's just crazy that they just keep finding a way to win games no matter what.
Absolutely. Also in the East, Washington, they've got an incredible record, as does Boston. But let's go to off-ice news for a sec. I believe the General Manager of the Year award has been renamed.
Yeah, so Jim Gregory, who passed away, I believe, last month, they have renamed the GM of the Year award, which that was just what it was called. There was no title under it. Right. They named it the Jim Gregory GM of the Year award to honor his passing and everything that he's done over his career. I remember we touched on him. I think he had been in the league since like the start of the draft or whatever. It was something crazy like that. So just to honor him, they renamed the GM award after him.
We also have a bunch of injuries again, and some more stars. So like some more superstars for sure. Pittsburgh continues to get hammered by injuries, but why don't you update us on the injury list, and what's the good news for? I mean, you already talked about Rupe Hintz and John Klingberg coming back for Dallas, but there any other big names coming back?
Sorry about that. You just cut out there. I had a phone call coming on my phone, so you there. Sorry about that. Yeah. So for injuries, starting with Pittsburgh, first you get some good news. You get Patrick Hornquist back, but then you get Chris Letang got moved to IR. Justin Schultz, who got injured in practice, will be out longer term with a lower body injury, and then Nick Bjugstad's out with another injury this season. They're calling it a core muscle injury, and he's out 8 weeks. So it's just, the Penguins, it's just back and forth, just going there. Also, some bigger injuries. The Tampa Bay Lightning, Steven Stamkos left the game with a lower body. Well, suffered a lower body injury, but he actually stayed on the bench for the last 2 periods in that game because he didn't want to leave his teammates. And Nikita Kucherov is out with an upper body injury, but they say it's unrelated to that huge hit that he took from Braden Shen in that game against St. Louis. So 2 big injuries to 2 big superstars there. Some good news on the injury front. TJ Brody, who collapsed in practice, was back skating with the team. Still no timetable for his return. And Mikko Rantanen, another big superstar, practiced with the team for the first time since October 21st. So it looks like he's nearing a return. Still no update on Landeskog, but those were the big ones. And the Bruins, they got Jake DeBrusk back, and it looks like they'll get Torrey Krug back tomorrow night. And just some names being put on long-term injured reserve. Nolan Patrick with Philadelphia, Sam Bennett with Calgary, and Carl Hagelin with the Washington Capitals are all players that got moved to long-term injured reserve.
You also have some milestones for us. Why don't we touch on those?
Yes, a couple milestones. Patrick Kane got his 600th career assist, the 4th fastest in American history, or by a U.S.-born player in history. He only needed 925 games. The only players to do it faster: Doug Weight, 908 games; Phil Housley, 875 games; and the fastest, Brian Leach, who only needed 860 games to do it. A couple more milestones. This is an interesting stat. So John Carlson, he reached the 35-point mark in just 23 games. The only other defenseman that needed that many games or fewer was Bobby Orr. He did it 4 times in his career. He only needed 18 games twice, 21 games once, and 22 games once in his crazy career. Cale Makar, unbelievable start to the season as a rookie. Now up to, I believe, 7 goals and 25 points in 23 or so games. Still averaging a point a game mark. I think somebody showed like Bobby Orr's rookie career, and it's like Makar's start is like like way better than his. I can't remember the stat off the top of my head, but there's that one. And a couple of games played. Adam Larson, who returned to the Edmonton Oilers lineup, played in his 500th career game. Bo Horvat, his 400th career game. And I believe those were the bigger ones. The Florida Panthers came back from the 4-0 deficit for the second time this year, beating the Anaheim Ducks 5-4 in overtime. That's the second time this year, and it's only they're the second team in NHL history to do that twice in the same season. I forgot to write down the other team off the top, so I apologize about that. But only a second time team that's come back from a 4-0 deficit twice in the same season.
Not sure if you saw this, but in the KHL, they have a player named Gretzky, and it's SKY, and he's wearing number 99.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, I did not.
It's Gretzky, but with an S instead of a Z, or a Z for my American audiences. But is that sacrilege that he's wearing the 99, or is that just funny because he's got the name?
Well, I still say there's only one guy that can wear 99. Now it's
I thought it was pretty funny though because he got the name, so I thought, you know what, good on him for having the balls to wear 99 and just he's not in the NHL where it's retired obviously, but he's I'll be curious to see if what type of player he is or if he stays around long enough to make an impact in the K. But a fun story for you there. Matt, why don't you give us, if you've got anything else, why don't you close off with something and the show?
Yeah, so just a couple of things. Bobby Ryan entered the NHLPA Player Assistance Program, so we're wishing him the best of luck.
We do have a couple more things to go over.
Yeah, there's that. The NHLPA also filed a grievance challenging Dustin Bufflin's suspension. I guess the day that they did was the final day that they could do it without. Otherwise, it would have been washed out. So that's something to keep an eye on. Shout out
and best wishes to Bobby Ryan. I mean, for those of you that don't know, he's got quite the upbringing. A lot of family troubles, and hopefully, he's able to get through some of the demons that he's working with. And then I know Garnet Hathaway has been suspended 3 games from the Washington Capitals for spitting on Erica Branson.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of people that spit, and I wish he got more games for it because I hate it. I think it's dirty. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but
oh yeah, it's just it's just disgusting because there's
like it went right into Good Branson's mouth too, which made me
because I saw like a poll question on, I think it was Sportsnet 650. They had it. It's like what's like the dirtiest thing or whatever. It's like they had like spitting, biting. Somebody put hair pulling because, and then the slew foot. So like for me, I voted the slew foot. Those spitting's like right there. Because slew foot, if somebody gets you, especially that's like somewhere like somebody comes up behind you and just takes your leg out, and you could get seriously injured out of that. But yeah, spitting's like right up there for like one of the nastiest things you can do. It's just like I'd rather get punched in the face or whatever by a sucker punch, which is up there as well. But I'd rather take that. But somebody spitting on you, it's just like why? It's like I get why Hathaway was upset because Branson was able to sneak the sucker punch in there while Hathaway's getting held by the ref.
What a hit by Brendan Leipzig though to start all that. It's something that really made him angry, and it was kind of weird because all that started happening, and then the Capitals scored, and then it kept going after. So it's a weird play, but I like I said, for spitting, I think the NHL got it right. I know you got sucker punch. I hate the sucker punch as well, but that was not a good thing on Garnet Hathaway.
Yeah. So and then moving on just to a couple other things. Mario Kempe, just a minor thing. He is going to the KHL, leaving the Kings organization. He got a nice 2-year deal over there. I guess money-wise was better. Sort of sucks because him and his brother weren't able to play up with the big club, him and Adrian Kempe. Craig McTavish is going to coach Canada at the Spengler Cup this upcoming December. And I saw some interesting quotes from Jonathan Toews because the Chicago Blackhawks, they dressed 11 forwards and 7 D-men, and he was asked about it, and he's just like, I don't know. I mean, things were going pretty good with the 4 lines and the lineup we had. You have to ask the coaches, and I think there's something growing. I know between some of the veterans in that organization and Jeremy Colton, their head coach.
Yeah, because Seabrook hasn't had nice things to say about him either. So
yeah. So it's like I know the Blackhawks have actually been playing pretty well actually of late, but that's something to keep an eye on.
Both Crawford and Leonard are giving them some great goaltending. So
yeah, and because Leonard for continuing his play from the island, and Corey Crawford for turning his game around after some struggles last year and in the beginning of this year. So strong goaltending duo, which is exactly what the Blackhawks were looking for when Leonard came over. And just a couple other interesting notes. David Pastrnak scored his 20th goal in just 22 games last night. Him, and especially on that power play, it's like he's averaging like a power play goal just about like every other game. So just crazy there. And then of course Connor McDavid continues to do his thing. He got his 16th goal.
David and Draisaitl are now tied for first with identical stats.
Yeah, so I think about 44 points. I believe they're
44 points, and they both have the same amount of goals and assists. So that's a dynamic duo, that's for sure.
Yeah, and then I believe that just about rounds everything up off from what I remember. But yeah, I think. Oh yeah, and there's one coaching hiring. The Columbus Blue Jackets hired Paul McLean to their coaching staff. So that awesome mustache.
They didn't hire his doppelganger.
yeah. That's still one of the most incredible things to ever happen.
That was pretty funny. There could have been a major troll job going on there, but
that just about gets everything up. And just one thing for podcast, because I know we brought up Don Cherry's one podcast that could be coming in the next couple of weeks that I saw that got reported. Kevin Bieksa and Ryan Kessler are supposedly in the next couple of weeks are supposed to start up a podcast. So you want to talk about interesting personality-wise, because like Kevin Bieksa is probably one of the most wittiest guys out there.
And a lot of people outside of Vancouver might not have ever seen him, but he is a very good interviewer and interviewee, and it could be pretty entertaining if this does go ahead.
Yeah, because I know last year Bieksa was at the All-Star game and he was going around, and he was actually on Hockey Night in Canada. Yeah, during one of the intermissions, and apparently that went very well. So and Ryan Kessler, I think matching him up with Bieksa, I think that's where you get the best out of Kessler, because Kessler, like I know, like off the ice and whatever, he's not known as the best, but he's shown he's got like a good sense of humor. And pairing him up with Bieksa, I'd be interested to tune into that type of podcast, because I know there's like a gazillion podcasts going out. It's like, oh, there's another guy starting up his podcast, whatever. But this is one that I would actually go out of my way to see how they go over things with their personal relationship. And hey, Kessler's not doing much, being on long-term injured reserve, so it's something to keep an eye on.
Absolutely. So remember to like and subscribe to us on Facebook, B&B Hockey Talk, or on YouTube.
Yeah, and just on that, yeah, I'll catch up on yesterday's highlights for the top highlights just from yesterday, and then have there's only 2 games today, so I'll have that up. So apologies for that, but
and
just
that's of course on the Facebook page. So
yeah.
For Matt, I'm Aaron, and we're gonna see you guys next Monday on Around the NHL. Have a great weekend, everybody, and we'll see you again next week.